Welcome to the deep dive. Really glad you could join us. Today we're exploring some ideas that are, well, truly transformative, I think. We're doing a deep dive into the wisdom in Don Miguel Ruiz's book, The Four Agreements, a practical guide to personal freedom. Such an influential book.
It really is. And this knowledge, it's rooted in something quite ancient,
Yeah.
actually, very powerful. We're talking about the Toltec people here.
Right?
And they weren't just, a nation like we might think historically. They're described more as women and men of knowledge.
From southern Mexico.
Exactly. Scientists, artists. They gathered thousands of years ago in Teotihuacan, that incredible city.
Teotihuacan, I mean, just the name, the place where man becomes God.
Yeah.
That tells you something pretty significant was going on there, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It was a center, really, for exploring and, well, mastering, conserving these ancient spiritual practices. You had masters there, the Naguals, their students, seekers, all coming together.
But this wisdom, it wasn't just out there for everyone for centuries, was it?
No, definitely not. It was kept kind of veiled. And for some pretty profound historical reasons.
Like the European conquest.
That was certainly a big part of it, pushing these practices underground. But the source material also mentions, misuse of this power.
By apprentices?
Yeah, some apprentices apparently misused this personal power. So the Naguals, the masters, they had to keep it secret, protect it, really, from people who weren't ready or might use it badly.
For personal gain, maybe?
Precisely.
But it survived. It wasn't completely lost.
No, it was preserved, passed down carefully through specific lineages of these Naguals for hundreds of years.
And wasn't there a prophecy?
Yes, exactly. Ancient prophecies within that tradition said a time would come, an age, when this wisdom needed to be returned to the people, to everyone.
And that brings us to Don Miguel Ruiz.
Right. He's a Nagual from the Eagle Knight lineage.
Yeah.
And he felt guided, to share these incredibly powerful Toltec teachings with us now through this book.
It's really important how he frames it, though. It's not presented as dogma, is it?
Not at all. He's very clear. He says it comes from the same basic unity of truth you find in lots of esoteric traditions around the world.
So not a new religion.
Definitely not. It respects spiritual masters from everywhere. It embraces spirit, absolutely. But it's best understood and practiced, really, as a way of life.
A way of life. And the book suggests it's a way of life that offers something many of us are looking for.
Which is?
Ready access to happiness and love. Makes them feel achievable, not abstract.
Exactly. So that's kind of our mission for this deep dive, isn't it?
Yeah, let's unpack the core message of the Four Agreements.
We'll explore this really fascinating Toltec idea that our reality is like a dream.
And how we get domesticated. That's a key concept.
Mm-hmm. How that shapes our lives through the agreements we make, often without even realizing it.
Right. And then we'll really get into the Four Agreements themselves, one by one.
Be impeccable with your word.
Don't take anything personally.
Don't make assumptions.
And always do your best.
We need to look at what they mean, why they're so powerful, and how you can actually, use them.
Yeah, practically. Not just theory. These are presented as a path, aren't they? A practical path.
Definitely. A way to break free from those old agreements, the ones that limit us and cause suffering.
The ones that keep us feeling trapped.
Exactly. And reclaim our personal freedom, that inner peace, that happiness that's supposed to be natural.
So we'll look at the foundations, the impact of our current agreements, and then really spend time with each of the four, using stories, examples from the book to make it clear.
It really is a journey into the nature of reality itself, as these ancient masters saw it.
Okay, so let's start right there. The book kicks off with this really captivating idea. Everything you perceive right now, seeing, hearing, feeling, thinking it's all a dream.
Yeah. Don Miguel Ruiz puts it bluntly. You are dreaming right now, even with your brain wide awake.
How does he explain that?
Well, the source explains the mind's basic function is to dream 24/7.
All the time.
All the time. The only real difference between sleeping dreams and waking dreams, according to this, is the material frame we have when we're awake.
The physical world around us.
Right. That frame makes our waking perception seem more, linear, solid.
Whereas sleep dreams jump around.
Exactly. Without that frame, the dream shifts constantly, often illogically.
So we're born dreamers, but we learn what to dream.
Precisely. The humans who came before us, parents, teachers, society, they teach us how to dream the way they dream, the way society dreams.
And how does that teaching happen? It relies on attention.
Absolutely central. Attention is described as our ability to focus, to pick out what we want to perceive from, millions of possibilities our senses pick up.
So we filter reality through attention.
We do. And adults, often without even thinking about it, they use our attention, especially when we're kids, to hook us,
Oh.
mainly through repetition and emotional intensity. They put information, their beliefs, their rules, their fears, right into our minds using our own attention.
So we basically download an entire reality, a whole way of dreaming, just by paying attention to what the adults show us and tell us.
Yeah, we learn how to behave, what to believe about everything, what's good, bad, right, wrong, beautiful, ugly. It all gets programmed in.
Even language itself, it's a code, an agreement.
Totally. The word tree only works because we agree on what it represents. Once we learn the code, our attention gets hooked by it, and energy transfers, cementing these ideas.
And we don't choose this initial programming, do we? Especially as little kids.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You didn't pick your first language or your family's religion or their moral values.
They were just there, part of the outside dream.
Exactly. Transmitted to you. We didn't choose those early agreements. We didn't even choose our own names.
And Don Miguel Ruiz calls this whole process.
The domestication of humans.
Right. Information from that outside dream gets absorbed, accepted, and it builds our internal belief system. We learn names, how to live, what's acceptable.
We learn society's ideas of woman or man. And, crucially, we learn how to judge.
Ourselves and others, based on these learned rules.
And what happens to our natural state in all this? That sort of wildness of a young child.
It often gets lost, doesn't it? Kids initially rebel, say no, they want to be free, be themselves.
Sure. But the adults are bigger, stronger. They have methods, reward, and punishment.
The classic carrot and stick.
Pretty much. We quickly learn to fear punishment for being bad, according to their rules, and we learn to crave the reward for being good.
And eventually, we don't even need the external person doing it anymore.
Exactly. We internalize the whole system. We become our own domesticator.
Punishing ourselves when we break our own internal rules.
And rewarding ourselves, maybe with a little feeling of righteousness, when we follow them.
So this whole belief system becomes like a law book inside us.
That's exactly the analogy used, a book of law in our minds.
Yeah.
And whatever's in that book, we tend to accept as absolute truth.
Without question.
Even if it totally contradicts our own inner feeling, our intuition, or just basic love.
Even things like the 10 Commandments or other ethics, they get programmed in this way.
Right. All these agreements, conscious or not, they make up this internal book of law that ends up ruling our personal dream, our reality.
It's like having this little government inside your head with its own laws.
And the source says this creates two key figures inside us, the judge.
Always checking the book of law, passing judgment.
And the victim.
The one who carries the guilt, the blame, the punishment from the judge.
And this whole setup raises a really powerful question the book asks. Is there real justice in this internal system?
What does he mean by real justice?
True justice is defined as paying only once for a mistake.
Okay.
But think about it. How many times do we humans pay for the same mistake within this internal judge-victim system?
Oh, countless times. Thousands, probably.
Right. You mess up, break an internal rule, instantly the judge says guilty, the victim feels bad, you punish yourself internally. Okay, maybe that's one payment.
But then you remember it later.
And boom. The judge judges again, the victim feels guilty again, you punish yourself again.
And if someone else reminds you.
Same cycle repeats. That, the book argues, is absolutely not justice. It's endless self-punishment.
And what makes it worse is that the judge is often wrong anyway.
Fundamentally wrong, often. Because the book of law it uses, the belief system itself, is largely based on lies.
Lies.
The source suggests that the entire dream of the planet and our personal dream within it is based on false law. Maybe as much as 95% of the beliefs we hold, the agreements we live by, are just lies.
Wow. 95%.
And we suffer because we believe these lies and judge ourselves against them.
So in this collective dream, this dream of the planet, suffering and fear are just normal.
It's considered the norm, yes. We see it everywhere. But the book's radical idea is we don't have to live like that.
We search for truth, justice, beauty.
But we look for them outside ourselves. When the book says they're actually inherent within us, in our true nature.
We just can't find them because
we're trapped by believing the lies, the negative agreements inside. We look for justice, but our internal system has none. We look for beauty, but we reject ourselves for not matching some impossible standard.
you wear masks, judge others.
Exactly. It's this state of the human mind the book calls a fog, a constant noise, the matote.
Mitote. How do you pronounce that?
M-I-H-tote, roughly. It's like 1,000 voices chattering in your head all at once, disagreeing, chaotic.
Total mental chaos.
And in that chaos, you can't see who you really are underneath it all. In other traditions, like in India, it's called Maya, the illusion.
And because we constantly fall short of this impossible standard of perfection based on lies, we reject ourselves.
Which the book calls the biggest sin we commit.
A mortal sin, but not in the usual religious sense.
Right, not about physical death, but the death of your spirit, your joy, your authenticity. We can't forgive ourselves for not being this fictional, perfect person.
So it's not just one bad agreement holding us back.
No, it's the accumulated weight of thousands of these fear-based agreements. Big and small, conscious and unconscious. They cause the suffering, the feeling of failure.
So if you want joy and freedom,
You need courage. Courage to break these agreements rooted in fear. Because those fear-based agreements take so much energy to maintain.
whereas agreements based on love conserve energy or even generate it.
That's the idea. We're born with personal power, life force. But we spend most of it just creating and keeping these old limiting agreements going.
Leaving us feeling drained, powerless.
Right. Just enough energy left to survive, maybe, because most of it is tied up upholding the very things that trap us in the nightmare.
Okay, so that's the core problem. If we don't like the dream, we have to change the agreements.
Exactly.
But how? If we feel powerless because all our energy is already tied up.
And that is precisely where the 4 agreements come in.
Aha, the solution.
They're presented as 4 incredibly powerful agreements you make with yourself. And if you adopt them, practice them consistently, they help you break those thousands of old fear-based ones.
And breaking the old ones frees up energy.
Yes, the personal power locked away returns to you. And that new energy gives you the strength, the capacity to change the whole system, to fundamentally change your personal dream.
Okay, let's get into them. The first one
The first agreement is be impeccable with your word.
sounds simple. Maybe deceptively simple.
Very deceptive. The book says it's actually very, very powerful.
Why the word specifically?
Because your word is described as the power you have to create, like your ultimate creative tool.
A gift from God or the Creator?
That's how it's framed. Think of the Gospel of John. In the beginning was the Word.
And the Word was with God and the Word was God.
Right. So through your word, you express your creative force, you manifest everything, your dreams, feelings, who you are.
It's not just sound then, it's a force.
A living force, your power to express, communicate, think, and through thinking, create the events of your life. Humans are pretty unique in having such a potent tool.
But like any powerful tool.
It's a double-edged sword. Use it one way, you create beauty, love, heaven on earth. Use it the other way.
Destruction.
Hell. Exactly. Misuse of the word creates hell. Impeccable use creates beauty. It can free you or enslave you. All your personal magic, your ability to shape reality, is tied to your word.
And using it negatively is like black magic.
Yeah, that's the term used. Using your word against yourself or others is essentially black magic.
The book emphasizes how potent words can be, right? Changing millions of lives.
It gives that stark example, obviously Hitler in Germany. One man, using the manipulative power of his word, controlled a whole country, led the world into war,
Activated mass fear with words.
leading to unbelievable destruction. His word, built on fear and lies, created a living hell remembered for centuries.
That's the extreme negative potential. But the book says we use words like spells all the time, like minor black magic.
Constantly, often without thinking. Our opinions, judgments, gossip, they're like spells we cast on each other.
So we're all magicians, casting harmful spells
Or using our words to release people from spells.
There's that example. If you tell a friend they look like they might have cancer.
Yeah, a chilling example. You see something like, you know that color in your face? I saw that right before someone got diagnosed. Just an opinion, maybe born of your own fear.
But if the friend hears it, believes it, takes it personally,
They make an agreement with it. Their mind gets hooked. Their own energy can then actually work towards manifesting that illness. That's a word becoming a powerful, dangerous spell.
or what about negative self-talk, believing you're stupid?
Same principle. That belief is an agreement, maybe from childhood programming. It makes you subconsciously act in ways that prove it true.
Your mind is hooked.
But then someone uses their word positively. You're not stupid, you're intelligent. If you hear that, believe it, make a new agreement.
The old spell can be broken.
Exactly. But if someone reinforces the negative, yeah, you really messed that up, the spell gets stronger.
So what does impeccable actually mean here? It's not about being perfect, is it?
No. The word comes from Latin. Peccatus is sin. Im means without, so without sin.
Okay, but sin sounds religious.
Ruiz reframes it. In the Toltec view, sin isn't primarily about offending an external god. Sin is anything you do that goes against yourself.
Like judging yourself, blaming yourself, rejecting yourself.
Those are the real sins against your own being. So to be impeccable means not going against yourself. You take responsibility, sure, but you don't judge or blame yourself for it.
That shifts it from guilt to self-respect, almost. Common sense.
Exactly. Self-rejection is the biggest sin, the one that kills your spirit. Impeccability leads to life, liberation.
So being impeccable with your word means not using it against yourself.
Primarily, if I call you stupid, yes, I'm using it against you, casting a spell. But the source says I'm also using it against myself.
How so?
Because you'll likely resent me, maybe hate me. That negativity comes back to me. It's not good for me to send that out.
So sending out emotional poison, criticism, blame, gossip, always comes back to bite you.
Inherently, yes.
Yeah.
You're using your word against yourself, even if aimed outward. If you genuinely love yourself, you'll naturally express that love to others.
And that expression is impeccability.
Because it tends to produce a like reaction. Love brings love back, usually. Insults bring insults. Spells bring spells.
So impeccability is really about using your energy correctly, towards truth and love, starting with yourself.
Yes. Making this agreement helps truth manifest through you, cleanses the emotional poison in your mind and communication.
But it's hard. We're trained to do the opposite.
Incredibly hard. We've learned to lie, to gossip, spread poison, and maybe worst of all, lie to ourselves and use our inner dialogue against us.
The word gets misused most effectively in that state of hell, of fear and suffering.
That's where we curse, blame, find guilt, destroy peace, our own and others.
The book tells that really powerful story about the mother and daughter.
Oh, yes. Very moving. The mother comes home, difficult day, splitting headache, just suffering.
And her little daughter is just being a happy kid, singing and jumping around.
Totally unaware, just full of joy. But the noise hits the mother's pain threshold, and she just snaps.
Loses control.
Looks at her daughter angrily and yells, "Shut up, you have an ugly voice. Just be quiet."
But the daughter's voice wasn't really ugly.
Not at all. The mother just had zero tolerance for noise then. But the little girl, seeking love and approval from her mom,
Believed her.
instantly made an agreement right there. Stop singing. But it went deeper.
She developed a complex, became shy.
Afraid to speak, express herself. Her whole life path shifted because of that one agreement, that one spell cast in a moment of frustration. She agreed she had to repress her joy to be loved.
And the mother probably didn't even realize the power of her words at that moment.
Didn't realize she was using black magic unintentionally. She wasn't malicious, just repeating patterns, her own domestication.
And the source asks us, how often do we do that? To our kids, people we love.
Casting spells they carry for years. People who love us can hurt us deeply, without meaning to, just because they don't grasp the word's power. That's why forgiveness is key. They often didn't know what they were doing.
There's another example about someone commenting on your appearance.
Right. You wake up feeling good, confident. Then a friend, maybe feeling insecure themselves, says something negative. "Wow, what happened? You look awful, that dress."
And if you take it personally...
Which connects to the second agreement.
Right.
And you accept it as truth, it becomes a new agreement. You put energy into validating it. Their casual remark becomes black magic, sending you into an internal hell about how you look.
And these spells are hard to break because we've agreed with them.
Exactly. The only thing strong enough to break a spell, an old negative agreement, is a new agreement based firmly on truth.
Truth. That's the key application of impeccability.
Yes. Lies create black magic. Truth breaks a spell. Only truth, genuinely accepted, can free us.
What about gossip? The book really singles that out.
Calls it arguably the worst form of black magic. Pure emotional poison.
We learn it young, see adults do it.
It becomes a main way to communicate for many. Creates this false intimacy because misery loves company, right? It keeps the whole dream of the planet stuck in negativity.
The analogy used is a computer virus.
Yeah, perfect analogy. Gossip is language, code, loaded with bad intent, inserted into our minds, often without consent.
Messes up our whole mental program.
The example. Starting a class, someone failed it or hated the teacher, tells you, "Oh, that teacher's a jerk, maybe a pervert." Drop the class.
You get imprinted with their poison immediately.
Right. You don't know their real reasons. Maybe they were lazy, prejudiced, but you swallow their opinion. You start seeing the teacher through that lens.
Might even spread it yourself. Drop the class.
And you blame the teacher, but the real culprit was the gossip, the virus someone else planted.
It's a chain reaction of poison spreading, contributing to that internal mitote, the chaos.
Yeah, and some people do it intentionally, don't they? Out of revenge or jealousy.
Justifying it, thinking the person deserves it.
And how often do we gossip, even about people we claim to love?
To get validation for our own complaints, feel right.
But our opinion is just our point of view, not the truth. It comes from our beliefs, ego, emotions, our dream. We spread poison just to feel justified.
So adopting this first agreement, being impeccable, is like installing mental antivirus.
That's a great way to put it. It cleanses the poison, gives you immunity to other spells because you stop taking them personally.
Linking to the second agreement again.
Right. Your mind becomes fertile ground for truth and love, for white magic, not gossip and judgment.
And you can measure progress by how much you love yourself.
Directly. When you're impeccable, you feel good, happier, more peaceful.
So it's about using your power correctly. For liberation, not bondage. The first crucial step.
Use your words to share love, create beauty, use white magic, starting with how you talk to yourself.
Tell yourself you're wonderful, you love yourself.
Use your internal word to break those old suffering agreements.
And the promise is, this is possible. It can change everything.
Entirely possible. If one person can, anyone can. Just this one agreement, truly lived, can transform your life. Freedom, success, abundance.
Turning fear back into joy and love.
You can transcend the dream of fear, live in your own internal heaven, even if the world outside still seems like hell. Become immune to it.
Wow. Okay, that really sets the stage. And the next agreements build right on that. Number 2.
The second agreement is, don't take anything personally.
Which flows directly from the first one.
Exactly. If you're impeccable with your word, it's much easier not to take things personally.
So whatever happens, whatever people say or do, don't take it personally.
That's the core teaching. The book uses that example. If you see Don Miguel Ruiz on the street and yell, "You're stupid," even though you don't know him.
He says it's not about him at all.
It's entirely about you, the one yelling. If you took it personally, it would only be because maybe, deep down, some part of him agreed or wondered how you knew.
So we take things personally because we agree with what was said, or it hits a nerve.
Precisely. It triggers an existing wound or belief inside you. The poison someone offers gets in and traps you.
And the root cause is personal importance, thinking everything's about me.
The book calls it the maximum expression of selfishness. Yeah. We assume everything revolves around us. Me, me, me.
But the truth, according to this, is
Nothing other people do is because of you. It's always because of themselves.
they're in their own dream, their own reality.
Completely different from yours. Shaped by their unique agreements, beliefs, fears. When you take it personally, you're assuming they know your world, and you're trying to impose your world onto theirs.
So even if someone insults you directly, criticizes you, gets angry at you,
The book is firm. At the deepest level, it still has nothing to do with you. Their words, reactions, opinions, emotions, they all stem from their internal agreements, their programming, their book of law.
if someone calls me fat, it reveals more about them.
About their issues, fears, judgments about appearance, need to criticize, not about your inherent worth. They tried to send poison. If you take it personally, you swallow it. You become easy prey for these black magicians operating out of fear.
Don Miguel Ruiz says he doesn't take it personally if people call him the best teacher or a total fraud.
Right. He understands if they're happy, they might call him an angel. If they're angry, they might call him a devil. He knows who he is. He doesn't need their external validation.
What they think is their problem, their view, filtered through their dream.
So it's not personal to him.
This is huge. If someone hurts me, the pain isn't from their action itself.
It's because their action touched an existing wound inside you. You hurt yourself by having that wound and taking it personally.
We see the world through our own wounds, our own beliefs, our own movie where we're the star.
And our point of view is just that personal, unique to us. Nobody else's truth but our own.
So if someone gets angry at me, they're really dealing with themselves.
Fundamentally, yes. You might just be the trigger, the excuse for them to release their stored poison, their fear, pain, unmet expectations. They get angry because they're afraid.
If you live without fear, rooted in love.
There's just no room for that kind of anger, hate, jealousy directed outward.
The book takes this really far, saying even a physical attack is, at some level, nothing personal to your being.
It highlights the depth of this perspective. It's about detaching from the idea that others' actions reflect your value. seeing them instead as reflecting their internal state, their distorted reality.
Does this apply to our own thoughts, too, our internal voices?
Yes, even your own judgments and criticisms, the chatter of the mitote might not be truth. You don't have to take them personally either.
The mind talks to itself, but might also pick up things from other realms.
That's the idea mentioned. Perceiving information from other entities, voices not from your core self. Toltecs called them allies. Others might say gods or spirits.
Our mind operates on that level, perceives that reality.
The source suggests it can. Even if our conscious mind isn't fully aware, we perceive with more than just our physical senses.
And we have the right to believe or disbelieve these internal inputs, not take them personally.
Crucially, yes. Don't automatically accept them as your truth.
Because the mind is divided anyway, the mitote is all those parts arguing.
Exactly. All our internalized agreements are like separate beings with their own voices creating inner conflict. We barely know what we truly want because different parts want opposite things.
Taking an inventory of agreements can help sort that out.
Yes. But taking things personally is the main way we set ourselves up for suffering over nothing.
The book even says humans are addicted to suffering, and we support each other in it.
It's a strong statement, but yeah. If you have a deep need to be abused or feel like a victim, you'll unconsciously find situations or people that fulfill that.
And if you're around people needing to suffer, you might end up playing the abuser role.
Just to provide the justification for their suffering addiction. It gets reinforced daily.
It must be painful to see the truth in relationships sometimes, when words and actions don't match.
It can be. If someone says one thing but does another, you're lying to yourself if you ignore the actions.
Being truthful might hurt initially.
But it saves you from the prolonged suffering of living a lie, of taking their inconsistency personally. Healing is possible once you see clearly.
So, if someone doesn't treat you with love and respect, and you see that without taking it personally, it's almost a gift if they leave.
That's the perspective. Staying likely means more suffering. Walking away, though maybe painful short-term due to attachment, lets your heart heal.
And you learn to trust yourself more, rely less on trusting others' unpredictable behavior.
The freedom that comes from making this a habit, not taking anything personally, is just immense.
You can be open-hearted, unafraid of judgment or rejection.
Say, I love you without fear. Ask for what you need. Say yes or no honestly, without guilt.
Follow your own heart always.
And find real peace, real happiness. You can be in your own heaven, even while the world outside is doing its hell thing.
Yeah.
Because you're not taking its poison personally anymore.
Truly transformative freedom. Okay, agreement number 3 tackles another big human habit.
Don't make assumptions.
This one causes so many problems, especially in relationships.
The surest way, the book says,
Mm-hmm.
we assume constantly, especially with people close to us.
Like assuming our partner knows what we're thinking or wanting.
Exactly. Assuming no need to actually say what we need. Assuming they'll just do what we expect because, hey, they know us.
And when they inevitably don't.
We get hurt, disappointed, maybe even angry. You should have known.
There's that story about the married couple.
A perfect illustration. They fall in love, get married, each with their own idealized picture assumptions about marriage.
Based on upbringing or movies or whatever.
Right. But then they live together, and their individual dreams, their different agreements about life, clash. Conflicts arise.
And they don't clarify.
No. The wife gets upset, maybe when the husband comes home, but she doesn't say why. She just silently expects him to read her mind.
And she gets hurt because he failed to meet expectations she never even voiced.
Expectations she didn't even realize were just her assumptions. The whole drama is built on assumptions, piled on assumptions.
It's fascinating why we do this. The need to explain everything, to feel safe.
That seems to be the core psychological driver. We have endless questions. When the rational mind doesn't have facts, it needs an answer, any answer, even a wrong one, just to settle the discomfort of not knowing.
So we fill in the blanks with assumptions.
If people tell us something, we assume their meaning. If they don't tell us something, we assume to fill the silence.
Even if we don't understand, we assume instead of asking for clarification.
We jump to assumptions incredibly fast, often unconsciously. We've agreed it's unsafe to ask, or that love means mind reading.
And we believe our assumptions so fiercely we'll fight for them.
Even destroy relationships over them. Cause ourselves huge pain, defending something we just made up in our heads.
And we make assumptions about ourselves too.
Definitely. Which leads to inner conflict, limiting ourselves, assuming we can't or can't do something without really checking.
Overestimating or underestimating based on assumptions, not facts.
Maybe we need more info, more training. or just need to stop lying to ourselves about what we really want or are capable of.
The book talks about this in romantic relationships, too, justifying being with someone by ignoring the bad stuff.
Focusing only on what we want to see, lying to ourselves to feel okay about the choice now.
And then making assumptions about the future, like, my love will change them.
Or, they'll eventually become who I want. A dangerous assumption. Your love won't change anyone. People change only if they want to.
When they're ready to do the work themselves.
So when reality inevitably hits, when the thing you ignored bites you because your assumption was wrong,
You get hurt?
and suddenly you see what you were pretending not to see, often magnified by built-up resentment,
Then you need to justify the pain.
and often end up blaming the other person for your initial assumptions and self-deception.
Whereas true love, the book suggests, doesn't need that.
It's based on accepting the other person as they are, right now. Or it isn't love. Unconditional love accepts without needing to change them.
If you're always trying to change someone,
You don't truly like or love who they are. It would be simpler, maybe harder initially, to find someone you already align with.
and someone who loves you as you are without trying to change you.
Absolutely. If someone insists you have to change for them to be happy, they aren't accepting you now. Why be with someone under those terms?
It sounds maybe a bit blunt, but it leads to more honest relationships. Based on truth, not assumption.
Imagine stopping assumptions everywhere. How much conflict would just vanish?
So the antidote is simple.
Ask questions, communicate clearly, use your impeccable word to find the truth.
Don't understand. Ask. Have an expectation. Voice it. Need something. Express it.
It takes effort, vulnerability, practice, but it transforms interactions.
A white magician uses their word for clarity, giving, sharing, loving.
By making a habit of not assuming, seeking clarity instead, your life changes. Magic happens. Needs get met more easily because energy flows freely, unblocked by assumed dramas.
It's part of mastering intent, spirit, love, the goal of the Toltec path.
Which brings us to the fourth agreement, the one that holds it all together.
Always do your best.
Crucial. This is the agreement that makes the other three actually happen in your life.
And doing your best isn't about perfectionism or some external standard.
No, it's about the action itself, the conscious effort you put in this moment. Doing your best leads to self-acceptance.
And your best changes, right? It's not fixed.
Absolutely. Changes moment to moment, day to day. Your best is different when you're healthy versus sick, rested versus exhausted. It improves as you practice these agreements.
So the key is consistency of effort relative to your current capacity.
Do your best, no more, no less. Try to do more than your best right now. Burn out, waste energy, create resistance, might even take longer.
And doing less than your best.
Leads to frustration, self-judgment, guilt, regret. Because you know you held back.
The power here is it's linked to self-acceptance.
And you just honestly do your best, whatever that looks like now. How can you judge yourself?
There's no room for the judge to condemn you if you know you gave it your all in that moment.
No self-judgment means no guilt, no blame, no self-punishment. This agreement alone can break that huge spell of self-condemnation.
There's that great story, the Buddhist one, about meditating.
Oh yeah, perfect illustration. A man wants to transcend suffering, asks the master, if I meditate 4 hours a day, how long?
Master says, 10 years.
So the man thinks more effort equals faster results. Okay, what if I do 8 hours a day?
And the master replies,
20 years.
totally confusing the guy. Why longer for more effort?
The master's answer is profound. You're not here to sacrifice your joy or life. You're here to live, be happy, love. If your best is 2 hours of meditation, but you force 8, you just get tired and miserable. You miss the point,
Just do your best.
whatever that is. And maybe you learn you can live, love, be happy right now, regardless of how long you meditate.
It's about living fully in the present, being engaged in the action itself.
Being productive from self-respect, not obligation. Being good to yourself by giving yourself fully to what you're doing, including loving and serving others.
The happiness comes from the action, the giving your best, not waiting for some future reward.
Most people do the opposite act, only for the reward, so they don't enjoy the action, and often don't do their best as a result.
And the first 3 agreements really depend on this fourth one.
Totally. You won't be perfectly impeccable with your word overnight. Old habits are strong.
But you can always do your best to be impeccable now.
You won't instantly stop taking things personally, but you can do your best not to in this moment.
Won't stop assumptions immediately, but can do your best to catch them, ask questions.
And by consistently doing your best, action by action, those old negative habits just weaken. You starve them of energy.
And if you slip up, say something regrettable, take something personally.
You don't need to beat yourself up. If you know you were genuinely doing your best in that situation, even if it wasn't perfect by some standard, you can feel okay, learn from it, and move on.
And this consistent practice, doing your best over and over, that's how you become a master.
Exactly. A master of transformation of your own life. Practice makes the master. Like learning to walk or write endless repetition.
Action makes the difference.
By always doing your best in searching for freedom and self-love, finding it becomes inevitable. It's not passive wishing. It's actively standing up, being present, honoring your body, being alive.
This whole path seems to be about getting back to something fundamental, something we lost, like the freedom of a child.
Yes, that's a key theme. The book describes little kids, 2, 3, 4 years old, as naturally free, wild, like an undomesticated plant or animal.
They just do what they want, explore, play, have fun.
Smile easily, live totally in the present. They feel fear if their needs aren't met, sure, but they don't generally worry about past or future.
They're not afraid to show feelings, not afraid to love.
They melt into love easily. That's presented as the normal, undomesticated human state.
But as adults, we're so different. Why?
Because of the internalized book of law, the judge, the victim, ruling our minds. We're not free because these forces don't let us be who we really are. Domestication programmed us with fear, what the book calls garbage, and we lost that innate freedom.
And this passing down of the domesticated dream is just seen as normal.
Right. The book is careful not to blame parents. They taught what they knew, what they were taught. If they were abusive, it was often their own programming, their own fears playing out.
Often unconsciously.
Often without control.
Think about our happiest adult moments. They're often when that childlike self breaks through.
Exactly. When we're not worrying, just fully alive now. But then the judge steps in. Wait, you're responsible. You have duties.
Our faces get serious, burdened, like kids playing at being grown up.
And the freedom vanishes again.
Most people aren't even aware the judge and victim are running the show.
So they never get the chance to be free. Awareness is step one. You have to be aware you're not free to even start the journey to freedom.
Aware of the problem, the conflict, the suffering, the agreements to solve it.
Aware your mind is wounded by fear and lies, to even begin healing.
That's why the Toltec idea of being a dream master, a dream weaver, is so important.
Life is your dream, your artwork. You can change it. Dream masters consciously create masterpieces by controlling their dream through choices. Awareness.
So being Toltec today isn't about following a guru.
No, it's a way of life. Living your own truth, guided by awareness and love, becoming wise, regaining that wildness, becoming free.
And this involves 3 masteries.
Mastery of awareness, understanding who we are, the dream. Mastery of transformation, changing the dream, breaking agreements. And mastery of intent.
Which is connecting with
Life itself, the absolute creator God, unconditional love. The mastery of intent is ultimately the mastery of love.
The book introduces this idea of a parasite in the mind.
Yes, a parasite that feeds on fear, drama, suffering, guilt, blame, conflict.
So freedom is about reclaiming our mind and body from this parasite, directing our own power.
Instead of letting the judge-victim belief system control it, we have 2 choices. Surrender to the judge and victim, stay in the fear-based dream, which is hell.
Or rebel.
Choose the path of the spiritual warrior, fighting the parasite, the judge, the victim within.
Warriors might win or lose battles.
But they always do their best. And by doing their best in the fight for their own minds, they give themselves a chance to be free. The dignity of rebellion, not being helpless victims.
And this parasite has 1,000 heads, each one of fear.
That's the image. So one way to fight it is head by head, facing fears one by one. Slow, but works.
And the other way?
Starve it. Stop feeding it the fear-based emotions it lives on. Control your reactions. Refrain from fueling anger, jealousy, sadness, fear.
That sounds incredibly hard if the judge and victim are generating those emotions constantly.
That sounds incredibly hard if the judge and victim are generating those emotions constantly.
It is, initially. Which leads to the art of transformation, creating the dream of the second attention.
Okay, what's that? Our current dream, the life we live now, happened because the outside dream hooked our attention the first attention.
Right?
Changing beliefs means consciously focusing our attention on those old fear-based agreements and changing them. That focused effort is the second attention, creating the new dream.
And the difference now is we have choice. We're not innocent kids anymore.
Exactly. As adults, we can choose what to believe, choose truth, love, ourselves.
Awareness is still the first step. Aware of the mitote, the fog.
Only with awareness can you transform the dream. Realizing the suffering comes from false beliefs is the start.
But you need to focus attention on what you want to change. Identify the specific agreements causing pain.
That self-inventory starts the transformation. And for every bad agreement you break, replace it with a good one, a happy, life-affirming one.
Stops the old one creeping back, directs the freed energy well.
And it's not instant, step by step. Patience, commitment. Domestication took years of repetition.
Breaking them is hard because we invested so much power in keeping them.
The source uses strong language. Our minds are wounded, poisoned. This state is seen as normal, but it's a disease.
A disease of fear.
With symptoms like anger, hate, sadness, envy. Extreme fear leads to breakdown, mental illness.
But there's a cure proposed.
Truth and forgiveness. Truth opens the emotional wounds, lets the poison out so they can heal.
And forgiveness is the main tool for that healing.
Yes. Forgive others not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. You forgive because you love yourself and don't want to keep paying for their actions with your own ongoing resentment and suffering.
Forgiveness is self-compassion.
The only way to heal those wounds. Choosing to let go of the burden, declaring, enough, I won't be the judge against myself anymore, I won't be the victim.
Becoming a warrior on this path takes awareness and discipline.
Inner discipline, control. Discipline to be yourself, apply the agreements. Warriors control their emotions and behavior.
And the difference between refraining and repressing?
Crucial. Victims repress out of fear of punishment, judgment. Warriors refrain. They feel the emotion, are aware, but choose not to act impulsively or destructively. They express consciously, appropriately. That's impeccability.
The final path mentioned is the initiation of the dead. Sounds intense.
Not physical death. It's taking mortality awareness as a teacher. The angel of death teaches how to be fully alive now.
Because life is finite, could end any time, only the present is guaranteed.
Right. If you knew you only had a week left, how would you live? Sink into fear. Or use every moment to be happy, authentic, express love, ignore others' judgments.
The angel of death teaches us to live each day like it's the last.
Start with gratitude for just being alive today. Choose to be yourself fully.
In this initiation, the old dream dies. The fear-based dream, the parasite.
Yes, the parasite feeds on fear of this death. You confront it, you keep memories, but the emotional charge, the parasite's power over them, is gone.
It's a fight, though. The judge and victim resist.
They fight for survival. We fear this inner death, thinking we will die. But it's the death of the false, fear-bound self.
The angel of death says, everything here is mine. Use it for now.
Surrendering to impermanence paradoxically makes you happy forever. It lifts the burden of the past.
The parasite makes us cling to the past, making life heavy.
We live in past regrets or future anxieties. Rarely now. The angel of death teaches radical presence.
And this liberation leads to the new dream. Heaven on earth. Bliss.
Imagine living like that. The source invites you. Close your eyes, then open them with eyes of love. See love everywhere, trees, sky, light. Feel love radiating from everything, yourself, others, even behind their anger or sadness.
Imagine living without judging others, knowing their actions come from their dream, their pain.
Forgiving easily, not needing to be right, respecting everyone's path.
Imagine living without fear of loving or not being loved, no fear of rejection, no need for external approval.
Saying I love you freely, meaning it. Walking with an open heart, unafraid of hurt because you're not taking it personally or assuming things.
Imagine living without fear of risks, exploring life fully, even without fear of death itself.
Loving yourself exactly as you are, body, emotions, flaws, knowing you're perfect, a unique manifestation of life.
And the book insists this isn't fantasy, it's possible now.
Absolutely. You can live in this grace, this bliss. To experience it, you have to understand it, and only love puts you in that state.
Being in love is being in bliss, floating, perceiving love everywhere.
That's the description. Others have reached this state by changing agreements, dreaming a different dream. Once you feel it, you know heaven on earth is real, available within you.
And you can learn to stay there by choosing, practicing the agreements.
Yes. Jesus spoke of the kingdom of heaven within, but many weren't ready to hear. This message of accessible love and peace is for you now.
The world is beautiful. Life flows easily when love is your way.
It's your choice, moment by moment. Love brings happiness, peace, changes perception. You see with eyes of love, the mitote fog clears.
Humans have searched for this lost paradise forever, promised land, nirvana, heaven.
The new dream, living the four agreements, is presented as the next stage for humanity's mind. It's not a mythical place, but a possible state of being.
The power to reach it is in our hands.
The challenge is our attachment to the old, fear-based dream. The suffering feels familiar, known, almost safe. We're addicted to the judge and victim.
But the book doesn't just leave us there. It offers these closing prayers, reflections.
Yes, powerful ones. To help connect with this potential for love, peace, the Creator, it invites you, the listener, right now. Just pause. Breathe.
Feel the love already in your heart. The simple miracle of being alive, breathing.
It's like joining a universal prayer. Feeling love connect you to all life. Asking the Creator, whose real name is love, to help us be like love.
To love life, just be love. Unconditionally, no expectations, no judgment, starting with ourselves.
And extending to others. Accept ourselves without judgment, because that's the root of guilt and punishment.
Love others unconditionally, just as they are. Accept them without needing to judge or blame them by our standards.
It's a prayer, an intention to cleanse our hearts of poison, free our minds from judgment, just live in peace and love.
Open our hearts fully. Say, I love you without fear. Mean it. Offer ourselves to that force of love. Let it flow through us.
And thanking the Creator for everything. Life, needs met, body, mind. For love living inside us as spirit, light.
Gratitude for being a channel for this love. Declaring love for the Creator and love for ourselves just as we are creations of that love.
It ends with a plea. Help us keep love and peace in our hearts always. Actively make love our new way of life, our main agreement forever. Amen.
Wow, what an incredible journey through these ideas.
It really is. From ancient Toltec roots to these very practical, actionable steps. The four agreements seem simple, but they're so deep.
It really highlights how much our reality, our suffering, comes from inside our agreements, the mental noise, the fear.
But crucially, it also offers a clear path out, a powerful, practical way to change it.
And it's not about some impossible perfection, is it? That fourth agreement keeps reminding us.
Exactly. It's the practice, the effort, doing your best, moment by moment, day by day, gradually weakening the old fear agreements, strengthening the new love-based ones.
It's like reclaiming that wild, joyful, authentic kid inside us before the domestication took hold.
Becoming aware of that internal parasite of fear and choosing to fight it, or maybe just starve it by not feeding it our fear energy.
And that incredible possibility the book holds out, that heaven on earth isn't out there somewhere, but right here, right now.
Inside your own mind, your own heart. Achieved through mastering awareness, transformation, and finally, intent, that conscious choice to live from unconditional love.
Learning to live with an open heart, free from judgment, fear, needing approval, seeing everything and everyone through eyes of love.
It's a profound shift in perspective.
So as you, our listener, reflect on this deep dive into the four agreements, maybe just consider this.
If your personal reality, your whole life experience, really is a dream you're creating moment by moment, through your agreements, many unconscious, based on that old book of law programmed into you. What's just one single agreement you could choose, consciously, maybe starting today, to begin rewriting that dream, to start reclaiming your personal power?
Yeah, what would that very first practical step look like right now in your life? To be truly impeccable with your word, maybe. Or to free yourself just a little bit from taking things personally. Or to communicate without assuming just one thing. Or simply, truly, to do your best in the next thing you do. What would that first step look like?